Nations by Wilhelm Schriner. Chapter 1. The cold sun rises, casting its pale light over the ivory fields. Bitter winds blow, speckled with February flakes. The sharp angle of dawn casts long, treacherous shadows across the land. Tires roll slowly, crunching fresh powder beneath their tread. A lithe man jumps out, dressed entirely in white. A fur-lined hood cloaks his face in blankness, revealing only a pair of deep blue eyes that beam with intent. Slinging a long rifle over his shoulder, he taps the roof of the vehicle twice and says, in a surprisingly musical voice, "Move it out. Get down to the stream. I'll be on the tree line." The driver, seated in a worn Jeep, nods and continues down the hill. Through the rear windshield, two other men are visible. One turns and gives the lithe man a thumbs up. The lithe man nods in return, then breaks for the trees. The area could be described as a narrow glen, a stream carving its way along the bottom. The Jeep follows this path while the man moves parallel through the trees, keeping the vehicle in sight. The Jeep pulls up beside a mangled pile of steel. At a glance, its whimsical colors might suggest it once belonged to a children's playground. Remnants of gentler times remain. Rotting wooden structures poke through the snow like tombstones. An intact swing set stands alone, the last true testament to an earlier era. Three men step out of the vehicle. Hard men, long-bearded, hair shorn close, each carrying a long rifle. The driver pulls out a cigarette and lights it. The pungent scent of tobacco is the only smell for a mile. "Is that smart?" asks one of the passengers, the only one not dressed in white. His tattered brown leather coat is cracked and flaking at the elbows. "What?" the driver replies, holding the cigarette between his fingers, rolling it pensively. "The butt. You'll give us away," the man says. "This ain't no sneak job, guy. We're here to send a message," the driver snaps. "Luke's in the fucking trees." "I'm down here, just shut it," the driver cuts him off. Hey, none of that now," says the last man, the tallest of the group. He wipes down the lens of his rifle's scope. "Shitbird's got a point. That smoke carries," he continues. Carry this," the driver mutters, grabbing his crotch with a sardonic smile. "Besides, we ain't here to sneak around," he adds. A sharp chirp comes from inside his jacket, followed by the muffled voice of someone on the radio. He pulls it out and replies, "Come in, Luke. What did you say?" From a distance, the Jeep looks toy-like. Luke, a lithe man with a bald head and a long beard, peers through binoculars. The three men and the vehicle in the decaying playground stand out against the snow, especially Mark in his leather jacket. Just down the brook, Luke sees three figures moving toward them. The glen, a shallow valley between two fields, is the only easy passage through the area. The rest of the surrounding land is all hills or marshes, difficult ground. The path is well known, often used by people traveling from one part of town to the other. Luke speaks into the radio. "They're coming," he says. Through the binoculars, he sees them clearly now, two men and a woman. The men appear to be armed. The woman is dragging a sled behind her. "William, do you hear me? They're coming," Luke says again. "Yeah, I got you, Luke. How many?" William replies. "Looks like three. They're dragging a sled." "Fucking animals," William snarls, his face cold and hard. "Shitbird, you're behind the Jeep," he orders. "Uncle William, I can do it," he protests. "Now's not the time, Mark. Get back there. Listen to your uncle, shitbird, the tall man says. Mark slings his rifle and gives a half-hearted, ironic Roman salute before taking up a defensive position behind the jeep. He reminds me a lot of Jack, the tall man says. That's what scares me, William mutters as he pinches off the lit end of his cigarette and slips the remainder back into the pack. These are the fucks that have been hitting us all month, William says. That ends today, he adds grimly. Game plan, the tall man asks. The usual. See what they know first, then we take what they got. If they want to fight, well, I love a happy ending, William says, flashing his broken smile. He pulls out the radio again. Luke, are they carrying? Yes. At least 2. If you gotta shoot, do it first. Don't take any chances. Through the wind and flurries, the 3 figures come into view. The tall man readies his rifle. The ambush is set. Mark, you stay out of sight until we need you, William calls over his shoulder. Mark doesn't reply, but he nods to himself, eyes locked on the approaching figures. As the trio spots the jeep, they slow and stop. One points at the vehicle, then at his companion. They argue silently in quick sign language before one reluctantly starts toward the jeep, while the other stands guard, rifle ready. The approaching man passes through the skeletal remains of the jungle gym. He pauses. The faint scent of tobacco still hangs in the cold air. He glances at the jeep, then notices the footprints winding away from it. His eyes follow the tracks around a twisted beam, until they rise to meet William, rifle raised and aimed at his face. In an instant, his guts drop. He freezes in place. Hello, boy, William says in an iron voice. Call your friends over. You tip them off, and I'll blow a fucking hole in you. Please, please, we ain't looking for trouble. You shut your fucking mouth. Call them. Now. The boy's deep brown eyes quivered with terror. He pulls his mask down, revealing the soft, unweathered face of youth, 17 at most. His skin is oak dark, his hair braided into tight rolls that curve along the shape of his skull. Please don't hurt us, man, he pleads. Who the fuck you talking to? His friend yells from behind. William's mouth locks into a jaw of iron, stained yellow teeth forming a jagged bear trap. He pulls back the hammer on his rifle with a sharp click. No words are needed. His intent is clear. Ain't no one. Just a jeep, the black boy yells back. The other man relaxes slightly, and the remaining 2 begin to walk forward. As they approach, he notices the boy's unnatural stillness. The fuck you doing? He asks. Behind them, the sudden crunch of snow alerts the woman. She spins around and sees the tall man closing in from the flank. She lets out a short, panicked scream, which sets off her partner, who wheels around and raises his rifle. But before he can level it, the tall man fires. The shot lands in his belly. Screaming erupts. William steps fully into view, rifle still trained on the boy. Get on your fucking belly, he yells. The boy throws himself down, arms splayed out, blubbering and begging. From his vantage in the trees, Luke watches through his scope. The boy lies prone, William's gun pressed against his back. The tall man kicks the rifle away from the wounded one, now writhing on his back, blood soaking the snow in a vivid splash of red, the only real color in the pale landscape. Luke's crosshairs settle on the screaming girl. His rifle doesn't waver as he studies her for threats. You motherfucker, I'm shot! The man cries out, clutching his stomach as he writhes on the ground, squeezing his belly, desperate to stop the burning sting of the bullet inside him. The girl is sobbing hysterically. "Daddy! Daddy!" She looks even younger than the boy. A rope is clutched in her hands, connected to a sled. Whatever's on it is covered with a tarp. "Shitbird, come cover!" the tall man shouts. Mark emerges from behind the jeep and takes in the scene. Bloodied Snow, the screaming girl, his uncle tying the boy's hands behind his back. For a moment he feels sick. This kind of violence is alien to his sensibilities. "Tie her hands!" William snarls at Mark. Mark doesn't react. His eyes are fixed on the blood in the snow. Then the girl. Then the snow. "Mark! Her hands!" He snaps back and clumsily paws at the girl. As he begins to tie her hands, he notices how small and delicate they are. She is wearing a small silver ring on one finger that says, "Love, Mom." She can't be more than 13, for Christ's sake, he thinks. She's crying, calling for her father over and over. "Tell the bitch to shut up or I'll fucking blast her," William snaps. "Baby, stop crying. I'm okay." The man groans. He presses a hand to his belly, but the pain overtakes him. He chokes, then vomits blood. "Oh my God!" the girl shrieks. Mark wheels her around and clamps a hand over her mouth. He stares into her wide, dark eyes. "Be quiet now," he says firmly. She stiffens, the sobbing cutting off into shallow, panicked whimpers behind his hand. William drags the boy over and drops him beside the bleeding man. "Put her here," he says, nodding toward the snow. From his spot in the tree line, Luke is still watching as the captives are lined up together. He presses the radio. "What are they saying?" Luke asks. William kneels in front of them, leaning casually on his rifle like a neighbor about to ask for a favor. "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a nigger by the toe, eh?" he says in a sing-song tone. For a second, you'd think he was being playful, if the situation weren't soaked in blood and terror. "So you're the nigger's been robbing us, huh?" The smile drops. His eyes are steel. "Man, I ain't robbed no one," the bleeding man says. "Oh no?" "What's on the sled?" the tall man replies as he swoops over to the sled and rips off the tarp. "What's all this then?" He continues pointing at rubber hoses and empty containers. The man doesn't reply. He knows there isn't anything he can say that wouldn't be seen as a lie. "All month our generators keep turning up empty. You got something to say about that, you motherfucker?" The man can only eyeball William in a hard and defiant way. The defiance rubs William the wrong way. He pulls a revolver pistol out of his jacket and shoves it in his face. "Open your fucking mouth," he says in a quiet, serious tone. The man is whimpering under his breath as William pushes the nozzle of the pistol between his lips and into his mouth. He tilts the pistol, and by extension the man's head up. "Last chance." "It was us. We did it," the restrained boy says desperately.